Last episode was supposed to be a standard issue conference game against a non-traditional football power in Syracuse, but as it happens in real life all the time, the big emotional win the week before versus Clemson meant that Marshall came into this game sleepwalking and it almost bit us. Their redshirt freshman quarterback Gooden throws for 423 yards and 3 touchdowns on us, and it took a final minute rushing touchdown and a pick 6 to put the cherry on top to make it even look like we were in control of this game. Today we have possibly Marshall's biggest rival as West Virginia comes to town. I'm Kimbroplays, let's go. Just to close out that Syracuse game, we were absolutely on the ropes. Ethan Payne runs tough in the fourth quarter and closes out the game because our defense couldn't cover anyone all day. We had a lucky 4th and goal stop late to seal it. I'm still shook from that effort, but we've got to get ready to go for this one. The West Virginia game has statewide bragging rights on the line. The committee saw our performance and thought twice about making us the #1 team again. They give that spot right back to Florida as they continue to dominate. Got a huge win over Kansas State last week. Penn State and Georgia round out the rest of the top 4, but we'll see for how long. Florida and Georgia square off in a huge matchup this week, as well as number 5 Northwestern on the road at Nebraska. So I expect a lot more chaos in store in the top 10. Marshall still in control of the top spot of the Atlantic Division, but this NC State game coming up next episode looks like it could be the final true test of our season. They look solid. West Virginia is 3-4 coming into this one, but they played number 19 NC State, who we just mentioned, and number 7 Miami really tough. Those games separated by just 7 points, so I absolutely expect them to give us a fight like Syracuse did. A C+ overall roster for West Virginia. They are a B- on offense and a C+ on defense, but the statistics say their defense is woeful. Basically 100th in all defensive categories, and like us, they are struggling mightily with turnovers this year. I think as long as we play our game and don't give the ball away, we've got a good chance to win. Doug Belk leads the Mountaineers in his 3rd season. When he first got the job, he led them to a winning record and a bowl win in year 1, but stumbled to a 3-9 record last year. And it doesn't help that he's 0-4 against the top 25, so the numbers are not in his favor. But I will say the West Virginia secondary is good. That's the first takeaway I have as we look at the roster. 4 of their top 5 players are defensive backs, so the Marshall passing attack could be tested all day today. Brown and Muhammad lead their receiving core, but a big storyline as we scroll down. Goose Crowder, 84 overall redshirt senior quarterback. He is out for the year with a torn shoulder, and that means quarterback 2 is in control of that offense. And that man is Will Willis, 68 overall 4th-year junior. On the surface, he doesn't scare you at all, but we also underestimated Gooden from Syracuse last week, and that burned us. 4 really solid prospects are in town for this rivalry game, 2 4-star athletes and 2 5-star top 10 wide receivers. Massive opportunity for us to impress if this Marshall offense can show off today. All we got to do is pass for over 250 yards, and we will hit bonus game goals for basically all 4 of them. This rivalry was interesting for me to read up on. It's known as the Friends of Cole Bowl. There have been 12 games total between these 2 schools, the first one being in 1911, the most recent in 2012, but Marshall has never won a game in this series. West Virginia is 12-0. A 7-year series was put together in 2006 to try to revive the feud because the teams had only played 5 times in the 95 years before 2006. In real life, there are some swirling talks about extending the series, but nothing formal is in place to make it a regular game. But as you know, in this series, West Virginia and Marshall both joined the ACC together this year, so this is going to be an annual matchup for us in the foreseeable future. It's time for Marshall to get the first dub of the series. Let's go. Jumping in here on the edit to tell you about the most annoying thing that has happened in my life. As I was playing and recording this game in the 4th quarter, I tried to go into the instant replay menu to get some footage of an Ethan Payne touchdown, and basically my game broke. I play NCAA14 revamped on PC, and for the 69 other episodes in this series, I've had minimal issues, but I think a recent NVIDIA update and a Windows update might have done us dirty, because you'll see here, I was simply trying to navigate in the pause menu, and this disk error detected message would pop up, and I could not do anything. No buttons would work, and after closing the application and trying to restart from where we were, we just couldn't salvage the footage. I'm sad to say because this game couldn't be saved. So after I played for multiple hours and then tried to spend all this time saving the footage and keeping the progress where we were in that game, I had to give up. I made the call to simply sim the outcome and keep us moving forward. I got a 9-month-old baby and I work a full-time job outside of YouTube, y'all. I'm sorry. Accept my apology as life forced me to keep it moving versus trying to go back and play the entire game game over again. So what you're seeing here is some random highlights of how our original game was going. Fuqua was dealing. Marshall had a huge lead. I think we were up 50-24 or something like that at one point late in the fourth quarter. But ultimately here, I'm going to transition us and we're going to just go to the sim menu. We'll look at the outcome of the game and the box score, and we'll just keep the series moving from here. Man, that sucks. Sorry again that this happened. I'm really annoyed. The only time in the whole series we've had to sim the outcome of a game, but let's check it out. Marshall gets it done at home. 38-28, we secure our first ever win in program history against the Mountaineers. Massive W for Coach Mayo to add this to his resume. It looks like we were down 21-17 going into halftime. It took a 14-point fourth quarter effort to pull away from the Mountaineers in this one. Fuqua throws for 354 yards, 3 touchdowns, has 1 interception, and honestly, that's actually really similar to what happened in the game I was playing, so it's not too far off, but it looks like Ethan Payne runs for 2 touchdowns, catches another 2 touchdowns. So he's the big winner in the sim as he had a massive day for us. It looks like Wickstrom, the tight end from West Virginia, hauls in 6 catches for 187 receiving yards. He was balling out on us. Willis, the backup, he had a huge day on our passing defense as we continue to get diced. We give up 375 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, but to their credit, the Marshall D forces 3 interceptions. So we've got a lot to clean up in this secondary before we get into postseason play. Over 800 yards passing from 2 scrub quarterbacks in back-to-back weeks is totally unacceptable. But Marshall gets the win. We're just going to keep it moving in the series, like I said, and please accept my apologies. Okay, with that game done, we need to advance to week 11. Our bye is coming up, and following the West Virginia game, we've got some big updates on the trail. Not a flurry of booms like we've had in past weeks, but the streak does stay alive. I'll scroll down, you'll see Josh Young, outside linebacker, commits this week. He's a 66 overall, but what stands out to me is how well we did with our 4 major visitors. Absolutely perfect, while 3 more guys tell us that they're ready to visit, so we are in great shape. Good stuff. Still the top dogs in the team rankings, 16 total guys committed already. That means we only have room for 9 more. Some of these dudes better start pulling the trigger if they don't want to miss out on being in the class. We now have a 1,700-point lead for 5-star wide receiver George Miller. He is set to visit Notre Dame in week 13, so we definitely want to lock him up before he takes that trip. 3,800-point lead for RJ Thompson. This one feels like it's going to happen with the 4-star athlete from California, so I'm excited about that. 3,400-point lead now for the other 5-star wide receiver Isaiah Seward, the number 9 receiver in the class. He is headed to Clemson this week, but with how bad they've been playing this year, I think we can maintain our lead despite him taking that visit. And finally, a 3,700-point lead for the other 4-star athlete Roy Morris. He actually projects to be a quarterback, 75 overall, so he may be sneaky important for us, as we still don't have a QB signed in this class. Okay, quickly, let's cover our commit from this week, Josh Young, 3-star outside linebacker from Florida, 66 overall, so he won't blow you away with his overall rating, but at 6'1", 240, he moves pretty well. 81 speed, 80 acceleration, and 80 strength. He's got 75 tackle and 80 block shed. To me, that screams a special team stud who can help this team on kickoffs and punt returns for a long time. And who knows, at the end of 4 or 5 years, he might be a starting caliber linebacker, tackling machine. We'll just have to see. I want to make sure we sim another week and get to the NC State game, but first let's take a look at the CFP coming off of our bye week. After the West Virginia game, we still sit in the number 2 spot, and honestly, the committee has a case. Florida absolutely stomps previously undefeated Georgia 27-0. That is as impressive a result as we've seen all year, and I don't have a problem at all with the Gators keeping the top spot. Northwestern picks up a great win, beating Nebraska on the road by 10. Miami loses their second game of the year, this time to Florida State by 7, but the bigger news is that NC State might be real, y'all. They upset North Carolina in overtime 48-45, and they are up to the number 13 team in the country. So the next episode quickly, I think, has turned into a huge matchup when I thought we were done with ranked opponents for the year after we played Clemson. Let's roll through the bye week to week 12, and bang, the commitment streak stays alive, and it's a nice one. Travis Rogers, he's officially in the class, and it secures that we are going to have a starting caliber outside linebacker on next year's defense. We also had 3 players in for visits on the bye week, and we got a solid plus 500 boost for each of those guys. I'll talk through Rogers' stats at the start of next episode, don't worry. First, I want to see what went down with Marshall Idle last week. Florida gets another W, this time against Vanderbilt, and remains number 1. We stay at number 2, but it's Northwestern all the way up to number 3 as they get a ranked road win against Wisconsin. Arkansas State, our old bitter rivals from the Sun Belt, they're up to number 4, and Akron from the MAC is at number 5. Am I in the Twilight Zone? What is happening right now? Also, it's been a couple weeks. Let's check in. Even though we were idle, it's still the James Fuqua show. He's leading the way for the Heisman. That's great to see, and not at all how I thought this division was going to look this far into the season. NC State rises to the surface, and they're challenging us for the division lead. 7-2, 5-1 in the conference, and that means next episode is going to be an absolute banger. Guys, thank you so much for hanging in there with me today on this dumb glitch. I'm disappointed we couldn't see the real stats and scores of how it played out for me, but the result honestly was basically the same. We get a win, Fuqua puts up some Heisman-worthy stats, and we just keep it moving. Thanks for the love and support. NC State is up next in a massive game. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss that one. Take care of yourselves. I love y'all. Peace.